This is my favorite summer pie. What's yours?
Today we're going to show you how to make vegan gluten-free strawberry rhubarb pie recipe. So I'm Max.
I'm Michelle.
This is Maxwell Bates.
So let's get into the video.
So the first thing we're going to do is our pie tin.
And we have one pre-rolled out dough. And one not.
So you can see the process.
Stay tuned for the recipe on vegan gluten-free pie crust.
Link in the description down below for our pie crust recipe.
This is how we roll the dough out using two separate pieces of parchment paper.
So you put the two pieces of parchment paper against each other so they don't stick. We find that parchment paper works much better than wax paper does because it has the right amount of wax on the outside, and that's what we generally carry because parchment paper is so much better for most applications. And it just rolls it between each sheet, and you don't get a sticky rolling pin that way.
And then flipping it over to make sure the parchment paper doesn't get connected, just like that, to the table. That you switch the sides and work on both sides.
This way also the parchment paper doesn't get adhered to it as much, and you work out any bubbles. Try and get the creases out. If you want, you can pull the parchment paper from the side, just pulling the bottom down. The more creases in it, the possibility to get little wrinkles in your dough.
So we'll finish with rolling out. Now we're going to move on to making the top filling inside.
This is 300 grams of red and green rhubarb.
We grew this in our garden.
This is red and green rhubarb. It gives a better color contrast inside your final result, but you can use one color, but two colors makes it look
More vibrant. Then 400 grams of fresh or frozen strawberries. And 300 grams of sugar.
Now we're going to mix this up a little bit before we put in the rest of the ingredients.
The sugar will draw out some of the moisture out of the rhubarb and strawberries. The sugar is hydrophilic, it's water leaven.
So next,
3 grams of vanilla paste. 5 grams of lemon juice or 1 gram of citric acid powder. 8 grams of gluten-free Bob's Bread Mill all-purpose flour.
flour,
Although if you don't have Bob's Bread Mill, you can use any other all-purpose.
gluten-free flour. So now it is time for the tapioca balls.
That is 25 grams worth.
And then we're going to move over the pie crust. The tapioca balls help soak up a little of the liquid when you're cooking it, so you don't get this gooey pie.
You don't want a soggy bottom.
Since the crust is not getting blind baked.
Just a little extra step. Going to take this and pour it into our crust. Then we're going to take the pie dough and crease the edges a little bit so the liquid is not escaping. And now we're going to take our pie crust that we just rolled out and we're going to just slide it on.
The nice thing about leaving it on the parchment paper is it provides some structural rigidity, and then you can just slide it off. You can reuse the parchment paper for rolling out other pieces, crimping the sides or folding it over so then the juices don't come out.
Then we're going to do a little trimming where trimming is necessary.
You can always use a knife to cut the excess off. Link in the video description for the equipment we used. You could also do a fold crimp if you want to, but that takes a little bit more time. This works perfectly satisfactorily, although we might want to fold up this edge right there because it's leaking. So instead of doing, if your pie leaks, take a little bit of your reserve dough. Right here we have reserve dough right over here, and just smoosh it between your fingers. And we're just gonna patch it up. Put your paper towel right here,
then pull up the crust.
And we're gonna put some clean crust down below, and then we're gonna put some fresh crust on the top.
Also, preheat your oven to 425 when you're making the pie because you're going to cook it for 15 minutes at that higher heat, and then you're going to be turning down your oven to 375, and then you're going to take the tinfoil, or if you have a pie ring, off, and then you're going to cook it for the next 45 minutes. We have vegan egg powder from Bob's Bread Mill, and we have a couple tablespoons.
Then just add water until it becomes a thick pancake consistency.
And so we're going to use a spatula.
You can also use Follow Your Heart's vegan egg, which is one of our faves, but we're currently out due to the whole situation we're in currently.
And so I'm just...
The vegan egg is to give the top color. It's not strictly necessary, but it's recommended.
And if you want to go even more traditional, you can sprinkle a little sugar on the pie also.
Turbinado sugar, the crystallized sugar that you get in a bag that's generally raw. Sprinkle a little of that on top, and it crisps up and gives you an excellent top.
So I'm just gonna add just a little bit more and I continue stirring. Or you can also do this with a whisk, whatever you find is easiest.
A tiny whisk works really well for this, but this way you don't have to dirty any additional implements.
So we have our vegan egg, and we have our pastry brush. You can use a clean food grade paintbrush if you have one of those also.
But these are great because they're silicone, so they wash up really easily. You can just toss it in the dishwasher, and this works really well, especially for other things that you might want to use that aren't so easy or might burn or melt the brush.
And then you're just gonna give it a nice slathering.
The egg wash also helps to seal it in the top.
Okay, now the final step is we're going to put a few slits on the top of the pie.
This is to function for the steam to come out of it so you can have some of the moisture come out.
We'll come back for the taste test.
We'll see you in a little bit. Taste test time. So it's very good. The crust is nice and crunchy. It's very good. It has notes of sweetness from the strawberries, some sour and umami from the rhubarb, and also a little bit of creaminess. It's like spring, but with autumn and fall notes in it. So I'm Maxwell.
This is Maxwell Bates.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Click the little bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Like it if you liked it because it really does help. And I'll see you in the next video.